All right, here we go.
All right.
Hey, Logan community. It's Fred again, your North Central community organizer. I'm really excited to be here with Charlene Samuels to continue our conversation about gun violence in our community. As many of you know, hopefully at this point, um, the Logan Library is hosting the Soul Shots photo exhibit or portrait exhibit of victims of gun violence. And this is our third or fourth conversation in our series. And I'm really excited to be here with Charlene to continue this conversation. Again, as soon as the library opens up, we will let y'all know so you guys can come in and see the exhibit for yourselves. It is amazing, it is moving, it is emotional, and it is worth it. So, without further ado, Charlene. So, Charlene, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Charlene Samuels. I am a resident of Logan. I've been living in Logan for 28 years. I have two grown daughters. Been working in Logan, doing a community. I am the chair of the Logan Civic Association. So and I believe that Logan is a great place to live. I really do, because I'm here. And others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've known Charlene for a really long time, y'all. And when I tell you she walks the walk and talks the talk, she walks the talk. Which is also one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with Charlene.
Thank you, Fred, for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So my first question is really, how have you seen gun violence impact your community?
Well, it's impacting the community in a sad way, right? Because every day you hear when someone has lost someone, to me it's really senseless violence, right? Gun violence. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned, and I'm even more concerned because it seems it's people of color, right? Black and brown people who dying at the hands of each other. So that even makes me even somewhat angry as well. So it really has impacted the Logan community because, when people, when you say Logan, they almost give you a look like, oh, Logan, like it's such a word of disgust. And I believe it's because they hear of the violence that happens here in the Logan community. But I think, but all in all, I want people to understand, though, that's not us. That's not Logan. But I do understand that people are concerned, and so am I.
No, absolutely. And this is not just a Logan issue. This is not just a Philadelphia issue. This
right.
is a countrywide issue.
Yes.
That we're facing. And you talked about being angry.
Yep.
Why are you angry?
Well, you know what, Fred? So we've been in this pandemic since March 16th, a date I will never forget. Never, ever, ever. And one of the things that I realized, I noticed when they were saying they were going to leave places open that were essential places. And when I heard that they were going to allow the gun shops to stay open, I was annoyed and angry because I said, well, wait a minute. How is a gun shop essential? How? And so then we hear about all this violence that has been happening. It seemed like more so has escalated, in my opinion, from the time we started this pandemic to what's the day? December the 4th, 2020, right? All we have been hearing is this violence back to back to back, and we wondering why people are shooting each other. Well, can that be because we left the gun shops open? And so really what we have given people, to me, in my opinion, green light to say it's all right to protect yourself, which you're really not protecting yourself, because a lot of these guns that being used to kill, folks, these are guns that are not even registered. They have no license. They don't. So I'm angry. I'm angry that they would have thought that leaving or having a gun shop as being an essential place to leave open during this pandemic. So, and then we wondering why we have this issue of gun violence. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer.
No, that makes sense to me, right? Because like, what's the message you're sending out into
right? Yep, you
right?
you sending a message that is all right, you know. And then I heard that the lines was around the corner because where I work, I got a couple of calls who other people, concerned citizens, were very concerned that the gunshots were even open. They were flabbergasted, as was I. So it's just unacceptable. It was unacceptable.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
As we think around just this climate, and oftentimes I like to think about the root causes, right? Like why are we seeing so much violence in our community? I looked at a report the other day that said that the gun violence in our city is up. It's the highest it's
ever been. Yep.
Right? Like, that is mind-boggling. With a pandemic happening right now, with us supposed to be enclosed behind closed doors, and mind you, this pandemic has forced us in behind doors for most of the year.
Right.
But gun violence is at its highest. And I wonder, why do you think that is? Why do you think this violence has shot up this year in this way?
That's a good question. And I knew you was going to ask me that. And I really kind of been given, it could be a combination of things. I'm going to say this. The first thing, I think we just don't care about each other. And I know people like, oh, that ain't, no, because I'm going to say this. I love my neighbor. Now, I may not get along with my neighbor. And I'm talking about not just the person I live next to. I'm talking about people I come in contact with every day in the neighborhood. But at the same time, I love them enough that I'm not going to want to bring harm to them, right? And I don't see that being reciprocated in our communities. And that's, I think, part of the problem. We don't care for each other like we should. We're supposed to be such a close-knit community, especially those of us of color. And all the things that we had, other races of people have taken us through, right? And we seem like we doing things to each other. That's bothersome to me. And it just tells me we really don't care for each other. It's all right. Yeah, we're going to get angry. We may disagree. But when it comes to the point where I'm so angry that I'm willing to pull out a gun and just kill you like it's nothing, that's a problem. And so that's what I think it is. We just don't care. And we don't have the love that we should have for each other. Now, I think part of the other problem is, TV shows, music. I'm from the old school. I'm 53. Some of this trash music that these young people or people in general listening to, it just sends you to a whole nother level. And and some of this, like the TV show, they tell you it's all right. It's all right to do it. And then the other thing is, when we talk about the young people doing the violence, young people are doing what they seen. So, if they have not been given a better example, then what do we expect, right? And so if they see the old heads like my age, right, out there, we can't settle our disagreements in the right way. We got to pick up a gun or a knife or whatever, fighting and carrying on. We just can't use our words. Then that's what the young people are going to follow, in my opinion. They're going to, we have to be examples of and model what we want these young people to do. If we're not modeling it, then they're going to do what they see us doing. That's what I believe.
No, I just want to thank you for highlighting that. In a couple of the conversations I've had so far, there's been this kind of ongoing theme around recognizing our humanity and the humanity of other people, right? The people we're coming in contact with, right?
Yep.
Aisha, one of the mothers that I interviewed earlier, her thing was, I was so angry. And yeah, I could have gone out there and done something, but no.
Right.
I had to figure out how to love that person beyond that anger, beyond that.
Right.
And, and I wonder, how do we do that, right? Like, how do we...
Well, I'm going to tell you how we do that, because we have to start with, when we have our children, you have to start training a child actually when they get here in infancy, right? And then it has to be, day after day after day, as they move into, pre-K, we have to teach the how's that 3 or 4 years how to settle differences. Then they move on to kindergarten and so on and so on. So it has to be something that we teach. It really should be a part of a curriculum, as far as I'm concerned, because we talk about conflict resolution. Fred, we've been around for years and years and years. And how many times, I don't know how many conflict resolution trainings I've been into, but it's needed, right? It is needed to talk about it. It's needed to have these conversations about when someone is bullying you, because how do you handle that? How do we deal with it? And so I think it has to start early on, because if we are waiting or we're not saying anything at all, then now we have what we have. And then the other piece is we got to get these guns off the street. We got to, at the end of the day, we really have to, and you almost asked the question. I asked myself the question, how are they even getting these guns? Where are they coming from? That's a whole nother story for another day.
You're right. That's a whole other conversation. But
I have theories.
It is a part of the conversation, right? Like, I think you're absolutely right that one part of this conversation has to be, how are we teaching? How are we modeling?
Yeah.
Healthy disagreement, and
yep.
how we solve our problems that doesn't necessarily have to evolve into something that is violent.
Right.
At the same time, there is a conversation that has to be had around access.
Yep.
And I'm working with some work study students, and one of the questions that she came up with, which I actually found to be a really interesting question, was, should everyone learn how to use a gun, right? Like gun safety, in a way of saying, like, if you know how to use it, maybe you can't use it to hurt someone. Maybe you don't figure out how to use it responsibly.
Yeah, I no. No, and I'm gonna say why. First of all, like I said, and see, we gotta. I think, Fred, I said, do you really want me, right? Because I'm the keep it real person. I just gotta keep it real.
We gonna keep it real.
And at the end of the day, we know that we are dealing with, in our communities, people who have mental illness. That is what it is, right? And some who have admitted it, some who will never admit it. Some have been diagnosed, some have not been diagnosed. But at the end of the day, if we allow, let everybody go and get a gun permit, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that right there would be a dangerous situation, because if a person is already unstable and they don't know how to handle conflict, what they gonna go to? I'm just gonna go get that gun that I have a permit, and I'm just gonna shoot you because I'm mad. I'm that angry, and I'm not trying to have a conversation with you. So I do not think, it should be where everybody has a right to carry. I don't believe in it, because at the end of the day, like I said, this is why we're here. That's what I believe, in the situation that we're in, because well, they give you, and then, like I said, some people not getting permits, but for those who even are getting permits, and what's your reasoning? What's your reasoning for that? So.
No, I think that is an honest answer, and I appreciate you for holding that truth and bringing that truth to the table, right? Because I think you're right. There are many issues within our community,
right?
Some that we will not acknowledge,
right?
That causes harm and continues to cause harm, right? And so yes, so I agree, right? Like there are so many things that we have to figure out in terms of what's happening in our own community, and access to lethal weapons may not necessarily be the best option for people who are still trying to figure out how to deal with themselves, let alone other people.
Right. And so then we want to say put a gun in their hand. I think not. That's not going to help solve the issue, because we need to be a people that we can sit down and iron out our differences with our words, because there's a way to, and come away with a, consensus, and we still may not agree, but we're going to come away with, we're going to get along with each other at the end of the day, because you are a human being, I'm a human being, and I care for you and you care for me. And I don't want to see any harm come to you at my hands or at the hands of anybody else.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. You know, and part of the reason, right, that we're doing this series is because we want to highlight it, right? We want to share those stories so that there is a hope that someone watches these interviews, these conversations, and says, you know what, you're right. Like they aha moments.
Right.
That is the goal, right? Because the violence in our community, it has to stop. It has to stop. But I think part of that conversation also, right, is I think you touched on it a little bit, right, is there are some systemic issues that are happening
Yes.
in neighborhoods that, and I won't say this is everybody, right, but that force people to feel like they don't have a choice to engage in the world in a certain way, right? Whether that's engaging in a street-based economy, and then feeling the need to have to be able to defend, you know, their work and their place in the world, and all of things, right? So that and so I think that again, this conversation is so heavy and so multi-layered that is just another piece of the conversation that we
right.
talk about and that we have to acknowledge is what are all these underlying factors that are facing that put us in this situation, right? I often say that the guy you see on the corner did not grow up saying, I want to stand on this corner. They had so
right.
Something missed, right? Something has,
oh, right. Yep. That's true.
And so we need to figure out what that is and how we break the cycle, right? How are we breaking this cycle of violence? And so one of the things that, you know, I'm asking everyone, right? Because this issue is so multi-layered, it has so many components. What do you see as some potential solutions?
Well, like I said earlier, I think we need to get a grip on this, how folks are getting access to guns. I think that's one of the first things we need to do. And we also need to, gosh, that's a good question. Limiting access to the guns. I think that's something in the teaching piece. I think having those conversations early on. I used to take some young people when I worked in nonprofit to a program at Temple. It was, I can't remember the name of it right now, it just escaped me, but it was talking about the violence, the gun violence that happens in our communities. And so they would go to Temple. And so, you know, when a gunshot victim, a person gets shot, Temple, they go to Temple because they're trauma unit. And so I would take groups and groups. I mean, I probably have taken, in the years I worked in nonprofit, at least 200 something children went to this program. And the whole purpose of it was to show them that gun violence really is just not a good thing, right? Because they would actually show you the pictures, Fred, of folks who got shot. Because sometimes you just gotta see it. Because see, we think this ain't no, as the young people say, this ain't no play. This is real stuff, right? And when you get shot, you can die. You may not live. And so, and even if you live, you may be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Or you may, you know, have to wear, they talked about a coloscopy bag, right? Where you can't, you know, urinate and whatever, you have to do the regular way that because you got to go in that bag and clean. So I did that because I knew of the issues we were having in our communities way back then about gun violence, and the young people thinking it's all, you know, that's the thing, to walk around being, you know, having a gun. No, because guns can kill. And so we need to have those type of programs. I mean, you know, it's almost like a scared straight. Some people say it don't work. I don't know, because few kids that I took there, because, you know, we were actually in the ER. There wasn't no real person in there, but I had a few kids faint. Because I guess just the just seeing it, you know, kind of sort of imagining you laying on that table, he's showing you the instrument that they use to open up your chest to try to save your life, that's just disgusting, right? And so I'm just saying, maybe that's something we need to start doing again, you know, educations. I'm gonna step away for 1 minute, Fred. I gotta blow my nose.
No, absolutely, it's all right.
All right, Fred, sorry.
No worries. No, I was just gonna say, I think you're right. I think definitely education is a part of that, and I think, talking about like just TV and music, and a lot of ways it desensitizes us from violence.
Yes.
We see it so much on TV and then social media, that when we're faced with it in reality, it is something completely different.
Right. Because at the end of the day, you know, all the people who have lost loved ones to gun violence, I can't even imagine, you know, how they feel. It has to be a situation where you almost feel numb, because you almost in disbelief that this has even happened to my loved one, you know. And it's just not, it's not cool. It's not good. And like I said, especially in the Black and brown communities, we got to do better. We have to do better, because at the end of the day, you know, that's a whole nother story for another day. You know, some of this stuff was put in motion for us to start killing up each other. We better get up. We better wake up. And at the end of the day, and realize that we've been duped. We need to stop. We've been duped and bamboozled, made a fool of. Come on now, no, we gotta wake up, because at the end of the day, you know, see, and when I say they, y'all get the picture. I don't want to be. They don't have to do nothing to get rid of us. They saying, oh, they gonna do it themselves. Come on now. So we have to get some sense and realize that the only people that's gonna take care of us is us. We looking for the cavalry to come. No, we don't need the cavalry to come. We need to look at ourselves and help each other and break some of these generational curses that's been on the Black and brown people for good God Almighty, I don't know how long. Enough is enough. It should be. And stop letting people get us into situations where, no, it's not cool. It's not cool to carry a gun. It is all right to be smart and educated and do something good with your life. So seriously, yeah, I could go on and on, but yeah. So we got to change it. We got to change the dynamics, because this is like, it's out of control. And it's so sad, Fred, because, you know, was a time I was looking at the news every day. I don't even watch it every day now. I may watch the news once a week now, maybe, because every time I'm turning this TV to the news, I got to hear about another, you know, victim of gun violence. And that's bothersome to me. My spirit just can't take it no more. I can't take it. I just can't take it.
No, I think that's real. And I think, you know, we talk about the impact of gun violence. And it's so funny. I literally was having this conversation with another person that I interviewed. I think it might have been Kimberly, where we talked about the ripple effects of gun violence, right? Like when it happens in our neighborhood, it's not just about between the two people.
Nope.
To their families. It ripples our neighborhood. It ripples out across the city, right? That we're all impacted.
Yeah.
Every day. And to the point of, we actually earlier today, I was in a conversation around trauma-informed librarianship, right? And to understand what trauma is, and that young people who see this every single day, elders who are watching this every single day, that this is a form of trauma we are inflicting upon ourselves and upon our community.
Yes.
We need to understand, and people who are picking up guns, you need to understand that this is not just about you.
Nope.
All of us.
Yeah.
All of us as a collective, as a community, that we're all being hurt by this.
Right.
And then, I'm also of the, it takes a village to raise a child. Mindset. And so, there has to be a call out to the village, right? And I'm
Fred, let me say this. The village is scared. Think about it. Like I said, I'm 53, and I as much as I know, I would want to, and don't take this in a way that I'm abusing children, but I could grip up a kid, not to hurt him, but to say, wait a minute, wake up, right? You can't do that these days because, you got that parent who may feel, well, who are you to say anything to the village is scared, and the village feel, no one is listening to me, and you don't want my assistance. I'm trying to help you, because we understand there's some struggles in families. We all have struggles in families. That's nothing that, most, now somebody may be struggling more than I am, but we all in a struggle for but I'm just saying, if I can help you though, let me help you. But that's the problem that I think the village, because I'm hearing from some of the seniors and I can say I'm 53, so those is my age. They saying they ain't taking a chance saying nothing to some of these young people because they don't want to get cursed out. So that's a whole another story for another day. But that's the other thing that has to change. Somebody need to be willing to take some instruction and some correction, because that's what it's going to take in order for us to move from point A to point B as we talk about this combating this violence. Nobody want to be corrected. Everybody just want to do the wrong thing, and it's all right. Don't tell me what to do. Okay, well, and so now where the village back when I was coming up, oh no, they would say something to you with a quickness, and you bet not say nothing back. Because my mother would say, what? You was being disrespectful? That's gone. But and I'm not saying that's everybody, but overall, that's not happening no more. The teachers can't even correct the kids now without the parent calling up the teacher, cursing the teacher out. Like, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna just keep it real. We gotta do better. When do we correct these? When is the correction going to happen? And then, we hear 10, 11, 12-year-olds with guns shooting each other or shooting somebody else. Like, no, we got to do better. So the village, I don't know, we're going to have to pray because the village is scared.
And I definitely, I get that, right? Like, I get that there is a fear that exists. But if we're going to break the cycle, part of breaking that cycle means we also got to break the fear that exists for us as we are attempting to engage these young people, right? And as we attempt to try and break this cycle of violence that we're seeing in our community every day.
Right.
I in my age, I'm 30. I'll be 36 next week. I intentionally try and create programming and activity that is designed to reach young people and to connect with them. And so I part of what I want to figure out, right, is this kind of education that you talked about, right, as being a part of the solution. Right. Is a part of this process where we need to get the guns off the street too, right? Like that.
Yes. That's.
And then how do we meet the needs of our communities so folks don't feel the need to have to go out and pick up a gun? Right. And so I think you're right. I think it's all these different things and all these components that are necessary.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah. There's a lot of work to be done. And, you know, I know folks are trying to figure it out. But like I said, I think it's going to go back to the care that we have for one another, because that's it. What's in the heart? What's in your heart? And for your fellow man. You know, I'm a minister, right? And so the scriptures say you love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, for the most part, I'm not going to kill myself. For the most part, I'm not going to kill because I love myself. I love me. And so what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to love you because I love myself. And so I think it's going to have to start with that, loving who you are. And like I said, you know, it's going to have to be taught from infancy to, you know, and really got to be reiterated no matter how old you get, because we just all sometimes got to, you know, you snap out of it. We got to snap out of some of this stuff. We really do.
And on that note, I think Charlene just said it. Snap out of it, y'all. Snap out of it. Charlene, I just want to thank you so much for
You're welcome.
Being here, for being real and keeping it real. Like,
yes.
And just, you know, just really just, I've known you for, I ain't saying how long.
I know.
We've known each other a long time.
Yes.
And I just want to thank you for all the years of work that you have done and the work that you continue to do in the community, for the community. You are so appreciated. If no one told you are appreciated.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Fred. Well, trust me, I want to say this. Fred has been in the trenches. You know, he's a young man who's been in the trenches for years and years and years and years. And you still doing the work, Fred. And trust me, we need people like you. We need, you know, folks in the 30, 40 realm, because I'm getting older. So, you know, not that I'm getting ready to stop, but I'm just saying, but we need the young people to keep it going, because at the end of the day, you know, we got a lot of work to do. And so thank you for all the work you are doing and have done. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Logan community, thank you so much for joining us, for signing on, checking out this video on Facebook. Just so you know, again, the Soul Shots photo exhibit is up at the library. As soon as, you know, COVID, Corona is over, y'all gonna be welcome back to see the exhibit. Also, some really exciting programming coming up, including a Teen Tween book club, with some like Lego kits and art kits. It's actually gonna be super dope. So if you're interested, on Facebook or call us at the branch. And I just want to say thank you, and I will see y'all soon.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Have a good one.
You too.